Baseball is back, and we want to celebrate by slashing the cost of any daily picks packages. That includes a baseball play by 50%, including 5% best bets. This amazing promotion runs from Thursday, April 7th, when 18 of the 30 MLB teams take part in opening day, to midnight on Wednesday, April 13th, and you can get $25 daily packages for $12.50, 29 daily combo packages for $14.50, $35 5% best bets for $17.50, and $39 5% best bet combo packages for $19.50. Whether you never bet on MLB or just like discounts, save 50% on baseball picks for the entire first week of the baseball regular season.
We are live, and we are live on Monday, April 11th. WagerTalk Today, live every day, Monday through Friday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, right here on WagerTalk TV, and of course, archived 24/7, 365 for your viewing pleasure right here on this channel. And don't forget about the podcast versions available audio style on your favorite podcast app every day. I am Steve Merrill, filling in for the Prez today on Monday. He will be back tomorrow on Tuesday. And that, of course, is my co-host, as always, Rocksteady Teddy Covers, WagerTalk.com. And Teddy, NBA playoffs are around the corner. We finished the regular season yesterday on Sunday. A little bit quiet for the next few days, but we're going to have some big action still to come. You're actually going to do a big game breakdown on an NBA futures play, so stay tuned for that. You're going to give you a free play to win the Western Conference in your NBA big game breakdown. I'm looking forward to that. For so, though, on each side, we're going to get some baseball talk with Marco D'Angelo and Bryan Leonard as well. Marco's going to look at Red Sox Tigers. He's also going to look at Rockies Rangers. Brian's going to look at his Cleveland Guardians and the Kansas City Royals, also at the Seattle Mariner game. So lots of baseball to talk about tonight on Monday, or today on Monday, a little bit of NBA as well. But before we do that, Teddy Covers, what did you learn this past weekend?
Well, you just talked about it. The season's turn. We'll sing a little Birds, for to everything there is a season. And the calendar has changed. Out with college hoops, out with the NBA regular season, out with the NHL regular season. Now it's NBA playoffs, not till this weekend. MLB, a whole different handicap. So from my perspective, I've been running real good for the last 6 weeks, 2 months, since February. It's been a real nice run for myself and my clients. And when the seasons turn, Steve, tap the brakes a little bit. You slow it down a little bit. Baseball, I'm just getting started with. Everything's been on paper so far. I think it may well stay that way again today. But nonetheless, through this transition period where we're shifting from regular season to playoffs, from preseason to regular season, these transitions from one sport to the next, it's really important to recognize the transition is going on and to keep your focus on the new sport as opposed to just remembering and living the good life from what just happened with whatever sport you were just beating. So there's a little, what did we learn? Steve, what about yourself?
Yeah, I'm just glad we have baseball, first of all. Keep in mind, a month ago, it didn't look like we necessarily would have baseball right now, and it would have been a very quiet Monday here on Wager Talk Today and WagerTalk.com. So glad baseball is here. It was a week late, but not too late. They're going to get the full season in. Just get your quick thoughts, because we're going to look at some baseball here with Marco D'Angelo in a moment. Anything jump out to you? You said you kind of tread lightly the first week or so on paper. We've had 4 days, really maybe 3 days total of baseball. They didn't play a ton on Thursday and Friday. Anything jump out to you so far after this first full weekend of baseball?
Yeah, I'm really not trying. That's one thing that I definitely don't want to do is take a look at 3 games and go, oh, this is what this team is. Oh, that's what that team is. It's a process for fully examining what teams are doing what. I can go through team by team and give you some initial thoughts. Twins hit the ball real well yesterday. I'm interested to hear Brian break down Minnesota-Seattle today, because Flexen's a guy who I liked a lot last year. And Seattle's a team I like a lot as road dogs in general. So that's one series that has intrigued me. Of course, Yankees-Red Sox is always fun to pay attention to. But in terms of big picture takeaways, because that's what we're looking. The first weekend of the season, we're looking for big picture takeaways. And frankly, there wasn't a ton this past week. I'm like, yeah, this is an over team, this is an under team, this is a bet on team, this is a bet against team. Still a bit early in the process for that for me.
Well, you talk about the Twins. They put up 10 runs yesterday. His Cleveland Guardians, who we're also talking about that game first with Brian here in a few moments, put up 17 runs. Most in franchise history, Teddy, for the Guardians. They had never scored 17 runs in a game before. as the Guardians, of course, the former Cleveland Indians squad. For those that were not following baseball in the offseason, they have changed their nickname, same team, different title. Yeah, I was curious, Teddy, to see how the pitchers are doing. A little bit limited spring training, the offenses as well. Nothing really has jumped out to me so far as a big picture takeaway. I think we kind of tread lightly here always in the first week. We'll bring on Marco D'Angelo, though. We'll get his thoughts on some baseball here. And Marco, I'll welcome you to the show, and I ask you the same thing. I mean, obviously it's early in the season, but has anything jumped out to you then maybe because of the limited spring training, or is it kind of normal handicapping for you right now with MLB?
Well, just like Teddy said, I started the season, very selective, and everything for me the first 2 days was basically 1 and 2 star plays, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I finally ventured to a couple bigger plays yesterday, a 4 and a 3. Knock on wood, it's been a good start, 6 and 2 out of the gate. So continue with that. But yeah, you're looking at the situations with the limited spring training or, reduced spring training that we had. Pitchers obviously will be on pitch counts more so early on. So you might want to consider first 5 inning wagers as opposed to full game wagers if you want to make sure you're getting that matchup of, starting pitcher versus starting pitcher going through those first 5 innings. And when I break down today's games, actually, I do have 2 first 5 inning wagers for you.
Yeah, the first 5 inning line is something that's been around. Yeah.
I mean, the one thing that stood out now that you're talking about it, was all the unders on Saturday. Saturday was just under. I think it was 1 over. It was 13-1-1 to the under on Saturday. And the one over cashed in a game where there was a shutout. It was just like a 9-0 and a total 7.5. That was the only over all day on Saturday. Yesterday we saw a bounce back. It's not unusual to see a run of unders the first week of the season. The weathers are cold. The hitters aren't used to big league pitching, and all the bullpens are rested and ready. But the run of unders from Saturday did not carry over to yesterday's MLB action. Not even close. We saw a bunch of high-scoring affairs on Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was something after Saturday, too, I definitely was keeping an eye on because I was thinking, well, maybe this limited spring training, there is going to be less offense here. But as you said, Sunday, we talked about Minnesota putting up 10, Cleveland putting up 17 on their own. There again, why you have to be careful overreacting to just one day in a 162-day baseball season, obviously, as the runs did come on Sunday. A lot of day games, though, on Sunday also, as opposed to the other days. So we'll see if that made a difference or not as far as that scoring. Marco, you mentioned first 5 inning lines. When the three of us started back in the 90s, you could maybe find them in the late 90s. They weren't there initially, readily available now. And one thing about baseball that's changed since we all started in the 90s is the pitchers don't go nearly as deep into the games. You hardly ever see a complete game anymore. You mentioned extended pitch counts now, probably more so than ever because of the lack of the preseason, the spring training. But the first 5 inning does kind of get you a true handicap, right? That's when you can kind of rely on those 2 starting pitchers going maybe the first 5. So let's look at the game today and tell me how you think you play this one first 5 inning. Red Sox and Tigers. Obviously, this is an interesting spot for Boston because they had the huge series in New York, including the Sunday night game, a 4-3 win after losing the first 2. All pretty close games, 2-1 games against their rival Yankees. Now traveling, and they're actually playing a slightly earlier game here at 5 Eastern at Detroit against the Detroit office Detroit Tigers. Marco, how are you playing this one?
Steve, just to touch on your first 5 inning wager there before I get into this one, the reason, as you said, the game has changed is because so many managers use the same playbook. It's a cookie cutter managing anymore. It's the pitcher goes 5 innings, maybe 6. Then you've got that guy that comes in the 7th inning to get you to the setup guy in the 8th inning that gets you to the closer in the 9th inning. So what you have in Major League Baseball today is if you're taking a full game wager, basically you might have 4 guys that have to do their job correctly on the pitching end of a handicap. Whereas in the old days, like you said, way back when we did it back in the 90s and such, pitchers, you handed them the ball and you didn't take it out of their hands until they ran out of gas. And a lot of times that was in the top of the 9th inning. So that's why the handicap has changed so much and why first 5 inning wagers are more popular, because you are getting a truer handicap, starter versus starter. Now, with tonight's game, you gave me a good segue about last night's game, and that's one of the reasons why I'm going to be going against Boston tonight. I cashed with them last night. That was a big game for them. It's not often that you want to say, hey, it's the 3rd game of the season, and this is a big game, but it was because they opened a season against their arch rival. There's not a bigger rivalry in baseball than Yankees and the Red Sox. Maybe the Dodgers and the Giants, but it's Yankees, Red Sox as far as the world knows. And if they would have lost last night, they would open the season 0-3 and start your first weekend already 3 games behind in the loss column. So it was a big game for them. It was the Sunday night game. And the ESPN Sunday night baseball game, to me, is the equivalent of Monday Night Football. It's the one standalone game where it's the only game in action for baseball of the week. It's the game at night where all of your peers get to watch you and the fans. So you get a little more excited for Sunday night baseball. And there's been, an angle that's floated around the last few years. Take that Sunday night team that played and then is on the road on Monday. It's a huge negative for them. And that's what we have with Boston. And the fact that they did get that win that they needed last night, I think they're in a go against spot tonight. And I am going to look at this team, Detroit. They're going to send Matt Manning to the mound. This is another angle that I like. I like taking pitchers the first time around the league. When a team faces the pitcher for the first time, advantage goes to the pitcher. The hitters are not familiar with his stuff, the velocity of his pitches, what different pitchers he has in his arsenal. And so I like to take those teams. Now, that's even more reason why to play a first 5-inning wager with that thought. If you want them to go against this pitcher, which I think they're going to struggle the first time they see him, we want this as a first 5-inning wager. I don't want to involve the bullpens. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Detroit Tigers tonight, first 5 innings. That angle that I said about Monday night or playing on the road Monday after ESPN Sunday night game, well, I went to Stat Daddy this morning to have him look it up for me. And when you need a stat, you go to Ralph to find it. And Ralph found that since 2018, teams who played Sunday night baseball and then were on the road on Monday, they're 25-32. That's just a 43% win percentage since 2018. And the average lay of those teams was minus $1.09. So, in baseball, whenever you're taking, a dog, you're going to get your win percentage up even more. So that was a good angle there. But there's a subset that actually surprised me. Playing the under blindly in those games, 63% result playing the under as the unders went 34, 20, and 3 pushes. So for us, first 5 on the Tigers, and if you want to do a little something with the total, you might want to look at the under in this game as well.
So, Marco, it felt like the Tigers were a fair hype team here in Las Vegas coming into the season. A lot of people that I talked to were high on Detroit. This is Detroit's year. Look at all the young starting pitching. Look what they did with their lineup. And for a team that was lined at, 77, 78 wins, there felt that there was more hype around Detroit than most teams, let's say, in that season win category. And here are the Tigers. They just lost 2 out of 3 at home. They couldn't get a clutch hit all weekend against the White Sox. They scored 8 runs over the, is the hype on Detroit merited? We see the hype teams not live up to expectations across sports as often as they do.
They always do, Teddy, but you said it at the top of the show. You don't want to make a knee-jerk reaction after one series on to open the year. The problem that the Tigers have had in years past, it's always been the bullpen. And it's why there's certain teams that whenever you play teams, you look at them and, you put them into a category. As the season develops, I start moving teams around. I have charts. I'll say, if I'm playing this team, it's a first 5-inning wager. If I'm playing this team, it's a full game wager. And that's based basically because of the strengths of the bullpens. And you got to rank those bullpens. And that has been one of the biggest problems of the Tigers for years, and why when I do play them, you'll see me more often on a first 5-inning wager until that changes. Now, Milwaukee's a team that, jumps into my head that you have no problem taking a first 5-inning wager because they've always had good starting pitching and a good bullpen. But you have to make those adjustments each year as you go in and watch for injuries as you do in every sport that will change that dynamic dramatically.
And that's the Detroit Tigers hosting the Boston Red Sox. Now, once again, it's an early first pitch for a Monday. It's a 5 o'clock Eastern, a little bit of an early first pitch, so don't miss that one. And under makes a lot of sense to me, Marco. Not only the hangover from Sunday night, as you said, but Red Sox only had 5 hits in their win last night. They only had 5 hits on Saturday as well. Tigers 2 hits yesterday and 1 run, as Teddy mentioned. A game that might have a little bit more offense, though, and also maybe a potential letdown spot here. What are your thoughts of the Rockies going to the Texas Rangers? And I say letdown for the Rockies because they just took back-to-back games after losing the opener on Friday against the Dodgers. Back-to-back home underdog wins against the Dodgers on Saturday and Sunday. Put up 9 runs in Coors Field in the thin air and altitude, but now they're on the road at Texas, who hit the ball extremely well against a good Toronto team yesterday. Texas put up 12 runs at Toronto on Sunday, now traveling home without rest. So you have a situation here, both teams traveling without rest, both hit the ball well yesterday. A early daytime start here at 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 Pacific, Colorado at Texas today on Monday.
Yeah, Steve, you get me. You know exactly where I'm going on this one with situational spot. Yeah, you had Colorado. They opened up their home opener, which, again, this wasn't the scheduled, home opener, so to speak, for Colorado, but they just picked the schedule up where it was at. And lo and behold, they get to face the mighty Dodgers in that opening weekend. And they did take 2 out of 3 as an underdog. So you got to feel that they feel pretty good about themselves coming out of that series. Texas returns home. They have their home opener today. It's an afternoon game, as you said. Great spot for them. Travel-wise, it's, a disadvantage for both teams, but the fact that this is Texas's home opener and it's a home opener, they're playing an interleague game. How excited can Colorado really be, to go out on the road and play not only a road game after that big series, but it's not even a division game. It's not even National League game. They're playing an interleague game. So as far as that goes, huge edge, in my opinion, to Texas. Then we look at the pitching matchup, and I'm going to go to the same angle that I did in the first game that we talked about. We got a pitcher that's going to be facing a team for the first time. You look at this one for Texas, they're going to be sending a pitcher to the mound tonight, Taylor Hearn, that this is a guy, that struggled to get himself to the majors. He's earned his spot on this Texas rotation. And here was a quote from the manager, Woodward. There's not too many lefties that throw as hard as he does or has 2 different types of fastballs. And he does it, and then he works in his slider, giving him a unique pitch mix that's going to be really tough to hit because most people haven't seen that. Well, not only have they not seen that, they haven't seen him. So I like Texas in the first 5 innings in this one. I think he's going to baffle the Colorado hitters going early on in this one. And by taking it as a first 5-inning wager, we don't have to worry about that bullpen. And that's always been a problem with Texas. When you get into the bullpen there, you hold your breath. So for me, it's a first 5-inning wager. In addition to all of that, Hearn has also added a cutter to his arsenal this year, giving him 5 different pitches to use in his arsenal when attacking hitters. And that's something that's going to be good for him early on till they figure him out. So for me, I'm going to go first 5 innings, take Texas in a good spot in their home opener to get the win today over the Colorado Rockies.
And you're actually getting a discount with the Rangers on the first 5 and not having to worry, as you said, about that horrible bullpen. They're $1.25 on the first 5, $1.30, $1.35 on the full game. So you're actually getting a discounted price for the Rangers and that preferred pitching matchup for the first 5 innings. Texas Rangers and the Tigers, a couple home teams to look at 4 and 5 o'clock Eastern Monday afternoon from Marco D'Angelo, WagerTalk.com. And Marco, 3-0 sweep yesterday for you. Not a surprise. You were number 2 overall last year in baseball at WagerTalk. And, of course, can't really talk win percentages. Got to talk units won in baseball because we play plus money underdogs, minus money favorites, and you were plus 55.5 units with that number 2 ranking and off to a 6-2 start. What do you have for $9 Monday at WagerTalk.com?
I've got one play up so far, guys, and it is my second 4% play of the baseball season. We cashed our first one yesterday, and we got our Monday Night Massacre tonight. You can pick it up for $9. Normally $25, so take advantage of all the plays at Wager Talk. Just $9 today, and don't forget Sports Memo as well.
That's right. He gave you a couple free late afternoon games for Monday, but more importantly, he has a strong nighttime best bet for $9 Monday. Marco D'Angelo, WagerTalk.com. And Teddy, A lot of baseball today on Monday. No NBA games scheduled, but give us 30 seconds. I want to get a thought on a futures play in the NBA playoffs. Teddy covers NBA futures play for free right here. Big game breakdown, 30 seconds.
Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, when all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for Overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.
It is time for today's big game breakdown, and let's talk NBA postseason. I kind of hinted on this on a big game breakdown last week. This time, let me make it very clear. We're going to take the Phoenix Suns to win the Western Conference. You can still find them at a plus price. I saw a plus 125 last night, a plus 110 last night. If you shop around, Phoenix at the plus price to come out of the West. Let me start with the Suns piece of the equation, all right? This is a super hungry team. They didn't win the title last year. Every quote from that locker room reeks of urgency and hunger. They're virtually injury-proof. CP3 got hurt. They were fine. Roster goes 12 deep. Ayton and Booker are indispensable, but they have a lot more depth than an average squad. We like Monty Williams. But the bigger issue, there's a lot of things to like about Phoenix, having been there last year and come up short. The bigger issue is the competition for the Phoenix Suns. Let's look at the other playoff teams in the West. Grizzlies, great regular season teams, but a team that doesn't have any history of winning the postseason. Now you're asking for 3 playoff series wins. It's just not how the NBA works. I'm not buying the Grizzlies as the team to come out of the West. The Warriors, Steph isn't right. They've been a 500 team since Christmas. Golden State's A game? Yeah, maybe. But again, they have a chance? Sure. A good chance? No. The Mavs, again, another maybe team. They can't bang with Phoenix in the paint. The Suns can defend Luka better than most teams. Golden State and Dallas, I think, have a chance. Utah's primed to fall apart and lose in the first round. The Nuggets have Joker and nobody else. The T-Wolves, the same thing as the Grizz. They haven't winning playoff series. The Clips don't have Kawhi. The Spurs and the Pelicans ain't winning the West. So there isn't a lot of elite competition, even on paper, for Phoenix to have to go through. The 2 toughest tests, again, I think Golden State and Dallas will be the 2 teams that they, the toughest teams they have to beat. But the Suns should be chalk in the West. Any plus price is good to look at Phoenix to come out of this conference. I see the Suns as the clear class of the West, as opposed to the East, where, frankly, anything can happen. There's your big game breakdown, Steve. Back to you, my friend.
Yeah, Teddy, let's just put in perspective how much better Phoenix was than everybody else this year. They finished 1 in the West. The Miami Heat finished 1 in the East. Phoenix finished 11 games ahead of the Miami Heat, the number 1 seed in the East. 11 games ahead of the Heat. I mean, that's insane because the Heat are only 7 games. They're only 9 games ahead of the play-in teams, Cleveland and Brooklyn, from 1 to 7-8 in their conference, and Phoenix would have been 11 ahead of them in the East. And Memphis, by the way, the 2nd overall seed, would have been 3 games ahead of Miami, which a lot of people probably don't realize how good Memphis was, especially with Ja Morant missing so many games. But like you said, do you really feel like Memphis is going to take the title from Phoenix this year? It doesn't sit with me either. So it seems like a small futures price, but when you break it down how dominant Phoenix was, plus money is actually probably some value. And Teddy agrees. Phoenix Suns win the West. No surprise there. And they get back to the NBA Finals where, of course, they lost last year to the Milwaukee Bucks, who, by the way, along with Boston, Philly, finished 2 games behind Miami. So they were 13 games behind Phoenix, Milwaukee, the team that beat them last year. Teddy, I didn't tease people at the beginning with our special guest because she's not a baseball girl, but she is a basketball girl. And we're talking some NBA right now. So let's get her on. Kelly Stewart, Kelly in Vegas, WagerTalk.com, Barstool Sports, many other locations as well. And Kelly, are you in Florida this week? Are you staying home for a week here? Or did you leave because of spring break coming to your state?
No, I'm in Florida this week. Going to be back in Vegas next week. Then I'm going to Costa Rica for 2 weeks. So I'm on the Prez work schedule from here until probably mid-July, I'd say, where I'm going to do some work, but then I'm going on vacation.
Nothing wrong with that. And I know you don't dig into baseball early on. You kind of get some data before you jump in, like you do in college hoops too. I mean, you do it with all your sports. You're always selective, and that's a great way to be. But we have plenty of data here for the NBA now. Full season is over. Your thoughts on the NBA playoffs? We're going to have some play-in games the next few days. The full playoffs actually begins on Saturday, so we have a little bit of time. But Teddy likes Phoenix. Do you see anybody upsetting them in the West? I guess we'll start there.
The West is really tough because I agree with Teddy. Phoenix looks very competitive, and to see them at plus money almost makes me a little apprehensive, Teddy. It almost is like, is this too good to be true? Pump the brakes. I was looking at a couple series prices this morning trying to figure out if I was going to make any wagers, and I am going to stay away from pretty much most of the Western Conference. I was looking at the Denver Nuggets. They were on my long list, as well as the Dallas Mavericks, but Teddy's right. I think the Suns look like the team to beat. I can tell you that I'm most likely going to be betting on the Raptors plus 170. I think that they hold a ton of value there. No disrespect to the 76ers fans. Sorry, mid-major Matt. I know that you love to bash this team as much as anybody, but this almost seems a little trappy, right? I mean, the Raptors went 3-1 against the 76ers this last season, and we don't think that they can beat them in a series. I'm going to dive into that one just a little bit more, but that was the one that really stuck out to me.
So let me ask you this, Kel, because we'll get to the East in a minute, because the East is tough. I mean, the East is really tough. But if someone was going to beat the Suns in the West, which team do you think it would be? You mentioned Denver as a possibility. I look at Denver as a team that's missing 2 of their 3 best players, and I've got my concerns about the Nuggets. In terms of,
so have we heard
the regular season? I don't see them as a postseason contender.
And this is something I had literally written down in my notes, Teddy, to take a look at the Warriors Nuggets matchup. So full disclosure, I don't start NBA until about a couple of weeks ago, right after the All-Star break, just because my main focus in life is college football, number 1, NFL, number 2, college basketball, number 3. I had a really rough college basketball go this year. I swear it was just a roller coaster ride from start to finish. And it luckily kind of ended on a high note. I laid 4 with Kansas, but I also had Kansas money line. So just was the tail of that type of season. So I have not been 100% all in on the NBA. In this last couple of weeks, as you know, we start to see teams not care, if you will. Are they tanking? What do they have to play for, et cetera? So Teddy, question regarding the Nuggets. Have we heard if Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. will even be back at all?
I'm not anticipating either guy.
Okay, and I wasn't either, but I did have that written down on my note sheet, because if they could beat the Warriors, and one, if not both of those guys would be back in time for the next series, it's something that's worth a look. And I do think that is a major concern, and that's always been a major concern for this Nuggets team. Frankly, they can't stay healthy. They have the big guys. They have the ability, but if you're not healthy, you're not going to go far. As far as the other side with the Western Conference, as I mentioned, I was kind of looking at the Mavericks. Looks like current odds of the WagerTalk odds screen minus 105. Now, we all know I like the underdogs. This isn't really an underdog. I think this is more of a pretty even matchup here. Now, they traded Kristaps Porzingis. The Mavs have been playing really well after All-Star break, and that's kind of why I'm looking towards them, because I really feel like the NBA season's too long. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me there. But, Teddy, we start to see teams after that All-Star break, and those are the teams that I want to make a push on. And this has just been one of the best teams since that break, and that's the reason why I'm looking at the Mavs here for the series price. Now, going back to, can they beat the Phoenix Suns? I don't think so.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not saying the Suns won't be tested, but I'm with you on Dallas and Golden State as being the teams that Phoenix needs to watch out for most in the Western Conference. When it comes to the East, Kel, it's much more of a crapshoot in my mind. And I feel like the Eastern Conference is going to be determined by who stays healthy and who hits the key shot to win a Game 5 or a Game 6 or a Game 7 in some tight contest. And we look at contenders. I mean, Miami's legit. Boston's legit. Milwaukee's legit. Are Brooklyn and Philadelphia legit? Is Toronto legit? Those 3 teams in particular. I'm interested in your thoughts. And what about the Bulls?
Oh, the Bulls. Come on, Teddy. Did a team look better to start the year? I caught a couple of Bulls games when I was in Chicago this fall, and it reminded me of like the 90s when I was a Bulls fan. So full disclosure, I have like a weird history of my fandom, right? But every kid that grew up in the 90s loved Michael Jordan. and subsequently the Bulls there for a little bit in time. And I, of course, love Dennis Rodman, but that's a whole nother story. Man, the Bulls have just fallen from grace. And this is a Bucks team that is, frankly, the Bucks, right? There's no value in betting the Bucks, in my opinion. But this is, Giannis's team. Every single year, it seems like they come into the playoffs, they're rested, they start shooting hot. Yeah, I'm going to write off the Bulls, and that's probably what everybody else should do as well. But as far as the other Eastern Conference games go, as I mentioned, I'm leaning towards the Raptors here. I think the best price you can get is plus 175. Definitely going to do some shopping around. But as I mentioned, I'm just not sold on James Harden and Joel Embiid. Yes, absolute all-stars. Can they do it by themselves? We're going to see. There is obviously a size disadvantage for the Raptors, but that plus money, you guys know, gets me almost every single time. I'm a sucker for it, especially in a series price. I feel like you're paying a little bit of a premium here for the Sixers. Should the Sixers advance? Probably. But I do think that we could see, Toronto catch a couple in Toronto at home and, a tight battle down to the end.
Yeah, and speaking with Kelly Stewart from Barstool Sportsbook as well. So we'll look at the Barstool odds, Kelly, and it's amazing. I mean, this is pretty much everywhere. The Brooklyn Nets are pretty much third on the board to be the NBA champ, and they're technically not even in the playoffs unless they win one of the next two games. They're the 7-8 team. So the way this works is just like last year, 7 and 8 play each other. The winner automatically gets the 7 seed. The loser gets one more chance. It's almost like a loser bracket, and then they have to beat the winner of the 9-10. So the 9-10 has to win twice. The 7-8 only has to win 1 out of 2 opportunities at worst. So the odds makers are feeling confident the Nets are going to get it. But, of course, they're not letting you take the no on this. It's all yes plus money. But 7-1 right now, Barstool and the Nets, who are not even in the playoffs until perhaps later this week. But, of course, they haven't been healthy. Irving is back. You mentioned the Sixers, 14-1 to win the championship with the new lineup here that they didn't have for a lot of the season. Your Toronto Raptors, you think can upset them 60-1. So, Kelly, do you dare sprinkle a little something at 60-1 and then maybe hedge afterwards? That's available right now at Barstool.
I don't think so. I don't think that Toronto has the firepower to really keep up with the rest of the Eastern Conference there. And to win it all, listen, there's a reason why they're 60-1. I'm not a huge chalk fan, but if I was looking particularly at a team to win it all, man, Teddy's just nailed it. The Phoenix Suns have just been that team this year. If I really had to try to make a case, you could make a case for the Golden State Warriors. As we mentioned, they probably will be the team to give the Suns some fits, at least in the Western Conference. But, man, Teddy nailed it. The East, just looking at them top to bottom, there is, it is just such a tight race, and compared to the West, where the Suns just ran away with it, that I don't feel like I can confidently make a futures wager on anybody to win the East.
Yeah, and of course, much like the NCAA tournament, this is a bracketed format. It does not change depending on who wins the first round. They did that a few years ago. They'd reseed. They don't do that anymore. So this is locked in. And the Warriors being a 3 seed means Phoenix would avoid them for the first 2 rounds, which means Golden State and Memphis most likely play each other in the next round, which means Phoenix only has to beat either Golden State or Memphis if they get by Denver, Dallas. So, that's the key to these round robins. It's not a round robin. It's, it's a bracketed style tournament, just like the NCAAs. I didn't think Kansas was the best team coming in, but I did think they had the easiest bracket this year. And that's why I was really close to using them as my champ in the bracket, even though they weren't my top team. And that's where it gets tricky sometimes. But Phoenix has the best of both worlds, right? The best team and one of the easier paths as well, avoiding either Memphis or Golden State. Kelly,
Steve,
great
you
to talk
definitely
some
nailed
hoops
it.
with you. Yeah, I was
going to say you definitely nailed it.
That
That is something that I think that I allow my handicapping to overlook. You got to look for those easier seeds. I had a ton of friends, not Kansas friends either, not Jayhawk fans, that bet Kansas 13-1, 10-1. And that was because of how easy their bracket was. And, I think I let those years of Kansas pass kind of cloud my judgment and say, you know what? I could see them messing around, losing to one of these teams. And boy, did I feel good at halftime of that Miami game. I was like, yeah, this is Kansas. This is what they do. But you nailed it. So really good point there about Phoenix's side of the bracket. Maybe they don't even get tested here for a couple weeks. Maybe they sweep their first 2 series or really close, a gentleman's sweep, if you will, and then really start to see round 3 how good and what they're really made of.
Well, and keep in mind the one other big difference too from the NCAA tournament, it's not a one and done, right? And that's why we see less upsets in the NBA playoffs than any other sport. Baseball is 7 games, hockey is 7, but a goaltender or a pitcher can really dominate and take over a superior team, and carry a team. In the NBA, the cream rises to the top. We see less upsets with 7-game series in the NBA than any other sport as well. So something to keep an eye on. Kelly, real quick, other than Barstool Sports, WagerTalk.com, what else you got going on?
That's all I got. These are my two loves of my life currently. Things are going really well. Wager Talk. You mentioned baseball, and I don't do baseball, but I do have some guys I would highly recommend for baseball. Dave Koken, I've been tailing him for years, way before I was even at Wager Talk. Marco is also so kindly enough to share his baseball. And then Adam Trigger sent me a plus run line, a plus 1.5 dog earlier. I said, I don't know. So I may be dabbling in some baseball myself, but the reason why I don't handicap baseball is because I need a little bit of a mental break. And we have such great guys over at Wager Talk that are so kind enough to share their plays with me.
Yeah, and it's a great time to try it out. $9 Monday, wagertalk.com. And of course, don't forget First Pitch, the baseball show now filling in for college hoops, 1:45 Eastern every day here on Wager Talk TV. And Teddy, only have a few minutes left, so we're going to get Bryan Leonard in here real quick to talk a little bit more baseball because you've got opening line report in about 20 minutes here. You're going to get the NFL futures talk, NFL over-win team totals, opening line report, Teddy, Drew Martin at 1 o'clock Eastern, and then, of course, archive 24/7 here on Wager Talk TV. But before we get to opening line NFL style, let's finish off the show with a little bit of baseball. And Bryan, I want to jump right in and ask you about your Cleveland Guardians, the team you've loved since a kid, the Cleveland Guardians. You've had Guardian pennants on your childhood bedroom. Your thoughts on the Cleveland Guardians? Huge offensive breakout as it continue against Kansas City today on Monday.
Yeah, they go 2 games, including extra innings, and score 1 combined run. Then they scored 17 yesterday. That's baseball. That's one of the reasons why betting underdogs in baseball are making you money overall. But this situation for myself, I talked about this last week about a lot of players didn't play a lot of games in a row. We're looking at Kansas City's lineup. The first 3 days, they play, first 3 games, all the starters played. Nobody off the bench has even come off the bench to play a game yet. And that's the way it's been with Kansas City. We've got the lineup today. It looks like the same lineup as they had the last 4 days. They haven't played a lot of baseball in the preseason, so that's an advantage for the Cleveland pitching here. And Savali's on the mound. He's pitching here in a really tough place to hit home runs, and Savali, that's his weakness. He gives up the home run ball. So I think Kansas City's going to have a tough time scoring today in this game. And Cleveland, very similar situation here, going against Carlos Hernandez, who I really like. His numbers weren't great last year. He had like 1 or 2 really bad starts. But this is a guy who's going to be the star of this rotation come the next few years. And I really like him here against this Cleveland offense, who is not very good. Cleveland's got 5 Major League Baseball players going 1 through 5 in the lineup. After that, they've got automatic outs. So when you got Hedges as your starting catcher, tells you how bad that situation is. So Cleveland, if you can pitch around those first 5 guys in the lineup, Cleveland's going to be shut out a lot. They were no hit a couple times last year. Don't like this Cleveland offense. I played this game under the total.
So, Brian, there's been a lot of discussion about playing the 5-inning lines versus the full game lines here. And here we're talking about 2 starters that you like and 2 lineups that you want to go against today. I'm curious why you used a full game line as opposed to a first 5 line. Are these 2 bullpens, these 2 bullpens we want our money on, or not so much?
I don't have a problem with the bullpens because you have to take a look at who's been pitching lately. And in yesterday's game, Cleveland had all their key bullpen players set out, and Kansas City, they used their like number 6 starter and a long reliever, took up all their innings. Kowar, I believe, pitched 75 pitches. So all their key guys in the bullpen are still there tonight. Same with Cleveland. That was a great point, and that's one of the reasons why I forgot to mention that, why I like the under in that game.
Talking to Bryan Leonard, WagerTalk.com. Bryan, we didn't get to any hockey today, but I want to remind people that you dominate hockey. In fact, you're number 2 this year, NHL profits this season, up over 64 units at WagerTalk.com. You were number 1 last year in the NBA profit and win percentage for NBA playoffs in 2021. So we're talking baseball with Bryan, but he's pretty darn good at hockey and basketball as well. Let's talk about your Cleveland Guardians, your childhood team, the one you've had pennants on your room ever since. I can't. You can tell I'm not a fan of the new nickname, Brian, but we'll leave it at that. Let me know about the Guardians here. You let us know about the Guardians, but let's talk about the Mariners. This is a team last year was the most overrated team in baseball. We talked about Providence this year, the luckiest team in the college hoops. You know, and they kept covering. The Sharps kept fading them. A lot of people were fading Seattle last year, and they kept winning. They actually look a little bit better this year. I believe their win total is around 84.5, so they should be a better team. How are you going to handicap this one, though, against the Minnesota Twins, who did break out offensively yesterday, putting up 10 runs?
Yeah, I like the Twins team. I'm a big proponent of this offense. I like a lot of guys in this offense, and they've got some pretty good bench players. Ryan Jeffers, the catcher, and Nick Gordon, the infielder, outfielder. But the problem with them is there are 4 or 5 guys in the lineup in the rotation, and that's Dylan Bundy, and they signed Chris Archer. Archer, I've got a little bit higher ceiling on him because he's a strikeout pitcher, and that always helps. But Dylan Bundy's a guy, other than one good season, he has been a mystery. He was great in college and coming to him in the minors, coming here. He just has not lived up to it, and I really don't understand why Dylan Bundy continues to get shots here based on what he's done in the majors. He isn't worth it. He's going today, and I don't like Dylan Bundy, as you can definitely tell here. Seattle's one of those teams. We talked about that last year. It was a team that was winning all the one-run games. They were getting a lot of luck factors in their favor, so I was looking to fade Seattle coming into the season. But then they go out and they make some really nice adjustments, bring in some guys for this team. So they're very good here. And I like some of their young players. I like Cal Raleigh, the catcher there. Obviously, Julio Rodriguez making the team was terrific. A lot of good young players on this team that's going to be good for a long time. And Chris Flexen's on the mound today. And he's one of those guys, is very underrated. He's not a big strikeout guy, but he keeps guys off balance. And that's what I like about him here. I like the Mariners here. I think they're clearly better than what this line is giving them here. I like the Twins on the season. Don't like this matchup. So I'll be betting on the Twins a lot when they've got the top 3 guys on the mound. But now with Dylan Bundy, give me Seattle here. I think it's a really nice number here.
And that's a nighttime game, 7:40 Eastern. Brian, give me a little underdog winner here on Wager Talk today with the Seattle Mariners plus money, currently plus $1.15 in most locations. And Brian plays a lot of underdogs. That's once again why you want to look at units one when we're talking baseball. And Brian has been great in baseball for decades. He's great in hockey and the NBA, as I mentioned. And Brian, what do you have going on for $9 Monday? It's $9 Monday for each and every capper, which means you get a substantial discount for best bets. What do you got for $9 Monday, Brian, at WagerTalk.com?
Yeah, we've got a top play in the NBA, or excuse me, in the NHL today. It happens to be the only game on the board, but I do happen to like it. I've got my top play in Major League Baseball, and I'll be doing the baseball show here in about an hour or so, and I'll try to give you another baseball winner on that. But 2 $9 plays today in hockey and baseball, and as you mentioned, had a really good NBA postseason last year. It's nice to be able to bet on teams when you know who's going to play, and that's the problem in the regular season with the NBA. But the NBA playoffs are a whole different situation, and I'll probably have as many plays in the NBA playoffs as I had all through the NBA regular season.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I forgot to mention that earlier. I was going to say it is nice to know who's in the lineup for the most part in these NBA playoff games. It's a totally different type of handicap, and it's a handicap that's worked well for all of us since we started in the 90s. Consistent moneymaker with the NBA playoffs starting later this week. That's Bryan Leonard, WagerTalk.com. Strong best bets at NHL and MLB. Because, Teddy, it is $9 Monday once again. I've got a strong baseball play for $9 Monday, an easy over. I was number 1 in MLB totals last year. In MLB, I've got a strong one going. And you also are going to have some best bets today, maybe in baseball, although you're treading a little bit lightly, like you said. So we'll see how it turns out. But Teddy, by the way, is red hot in all sports, still on a 14-5, 74% run, 69-34 since the end of February. So be sure to check out Teddy covers for both NBA and MLB, also at WagerTalk.com. Before we leave, a reminder, hit subscribe. Let's get to 100,000 subscribers here. Let's keep this content free, and you can help us by hitting subscribe, hitting thumbs up, and hit the bell if you want instant alerts when all the shows go live, like MLB First Pitch in 1 hour, or in 15 minutes, Teddy covers opening line report with NFL season win totals right here on Wager Talk TV. Teddy, Prez will be back tomorrow on Tuesday, so get ready. Take us home.
Yeah, that's going to wrap it for the Monday edition. I want to thank Kelly in Vegas, Marco D'Angelo, and Bryan Leonard for joining us, as well as all of you out there in viewer and listener land. We really appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to spend with us here on Wager Talk Today. We'll do it again tomorrow, Prez and myself, 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you back east. Between now and then, enjoy the games and good luck.
The NBA playoffs start April 16th, and with the play-in games, there are now 20 teams vying for the NBA championship. The 2022 playoffs give you up to 9 weeks of action, with game number 1 of the NBA Finals not even tipping off until June 2nd. Last year, the NBA playoff package was listed for $249, but we've made it even better this year by lowering the entire 9-week playoff package to $199. While the early bird catches the worm may be a cliche, but it holds true to this incredible offer. The first 99 customers can use the coupon code FIRST99 and save an additional $50 off the playoff package, dropping the price down to $149. That's right, 9 weeks of NBA action for $149. That's under $17 per week. Act fast to use code FIRST99, as only the first 99 customers can use this code.